So we've got big changes in the leadership of the Democratic Republic of Great Britain. Another new prime minister. I think it's the 6th one in about 5 years. Andy Burnham is in, and is he going to last as long as Liz Truss did with that long 3-month premiership that she had?
Well, yeah, maybe he can actually outlive Valetis, could break a new record in many ways.
He's making waves already. So just to break down, already a 20% off pubs and clubs, which we'll dig into in terms of their tax. Already keeping prisoners in jail instead of letting those out. He's already moved himself up north to Manchester, which for 1 day a week. I'm assuming he's going by train because I don't want to be flying, and that could be a PR nightmare. And yeah, he's a northern prime minister, which we've not had for a long time. Down to earth bloke, looks a bit like us, goes for a run,
wears a t-shirt,
etc. You know, where could it go wrong? So yeah, I mean, starting out, the pubs and clubs is an easy one to jump into. That's like a quick win for Northerners, isn't it?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, that's
pub and club 20% cheaper. You know, you can imagine like a Peter Kay type Phoenix Knights going, "Hey Brian, look, they've reduced tax by 20%. Lovely."
Exactly like that. But yeah, so I guess it makes it easier for people to run venues and pubs and things like that, which is a really good thing, I think, because it's quite a British tradition, the kind of local pub that everyone goes to, talks about the state of their lives and the world and things. And I think it's like an institution that has been dwindling, and we should kind of preserve if we can.
I agree. There's this smell that always takes me back to English pubs, which is like a mix of urinal cakes, chip fat, and cigarette smoke.
And some scampi fries.
Oh, and a nice pack of scampi fries. I was going to make a terrible joke there, but I'll leave it. I'll leave that on the table. And ladies and gentlemen at home, you can use your imagination to think about what joke I was going to tell about eating a packet of scampi fries. But yeah, I think that's good. I think it could have also been extended to the hospitality industry in general. Like restaurants are closing like crazy. You know, prices everywhere in sort of even down to fish and chip shops. He could have got himself a massive like tick in the box if he brought chips and blue drinks down a few percentage points.
Big in Hull.
Across, you know, his potential future voters. But yeah, and the other argument that comes out of all of this is with making such drastic changes and big changes and going for like a lot of devolution, right? Because the Manchester office thing's about taking power away from Westminster and putting it back into the areas. There's an argument that he doesn't have a mandate for any of this stuff and really should only be operating under the mandate of Starmer, right? Or inside that mandate at least.
Well, I mean, this is, in my mind, the biggest part of the problem. It's just completely undemocratic, you know, because there was an election, people voted for Labour, and they voted for Starmer, and for all of the promises and pledges that he made in the run-up to that election. And then all of a sudden, someone else just gets in and goes in different directions to what the previous prime minister did, and nobody voted for this. It's really dodgy, you know, and it's sort of like Banana Republic levels of deception in a way, because it can't be, he can't really go on TV at any point in the future and claim that Britain's democratic, because someone's just going to say, oh, interesting, so who voted for you? You know?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah, there's no mandate. I guess Starmer will probably be having different types of mandates now he's out. But yeah, it's like if you look at Burnham, he hasn't been elected. But how many of the last leaders of the United Kingdom have actually been elected? I think we had Boris Johnson, right? He was elected by the people. We had Keir Starmer. That's the only two, right?
I think so.
Yeah. We had Rishi Sunak. We had Liz Truss. We had
Theresa May.
Yeah, Theresa May was she was before, right? But she wasn't voted in either. I don't think. So I
I
don't think she
don't
won an
think so.
election. I can't see that happening. So yeah, it is. It's bizarre. But then some of these other changes that he's looking to make, like moving his office up to Manchester once a week, it just feels like a bit of a ploy.
It's just optics, isn't it? And see, the thing is, it's they know about the demographics of voters, and they know who's kind of the most angry about what's going on in the country and whose lives have been more affected. And as someone who comes from the northeast of England, yeah, northern parts of the UK have just declined massively over the years, and there's no investment compared to anything. Once you get that bit further south, it seems like everything's better, including hospitals and education and just all round investment in infrastructure and business and everything. And in the north, it's just been neglected for, I don't know, 20, 30 years. So I think in some ways he's kind of bringing hope to people. I don't really see how him traveling to Manchester once a week is going to reinvigorate that that whole area of the UK, but maybe it gives people a bit of hope, or at least it looks good.
Yeah, he's popping back for a hot pot or something. Although that being said, one of the benefits for the north is you can go to get a portion of fish and chips for less than a tenner. Still, you're not having that anywhere south of like the you know the bottom end of the M1. Once you get into sort of Buckinghamshire and onwards, you're definitely going to be 12 quid for fish and chips, which is outrageous.
It
But
really is.
He's good at hitting the buzzwords. So I saw Donald Trump posted on Truth Social, which we will be talking a bit more about Mr. Trump in our next episode. But he was saying, oh, yeah, the people in Aberdeen are going to be celebrating today because Burnham's talking about oil and drilling and gas and all of this stuff. But he is only talking about it, right? He's not actually done anything yet. I mean, he's not been in very long, granted, but he's not said we are going to start drilling our own oil again. He's not said we're going to start taking advantage of our massive gas reserves again. He's just using the buzzword to kind of put it in the media that, oh, we're looking at potentially oil and gas again. But we're tied into all of these green things that we've ridiculously put ourselves into. So, like, he's not going to go and suddenly alienate all of those voters that he's got, right? Because then obviously the risk is they all get, and I think this is the biggest risk of it all, is like by trying to go more central and maybe get some more of the northern right wing or more right wing or right leaning restore and whatever Farage followers back on side, he's going to alienate his green left wing arm. And what's probably then going to happen is he's going to flip flop and U-turn and go back and forward between the two things and just push more voters to the Greens and more voters into Reform and Restore.
It
right?
could well do, yeah, because you have so many different extremes of opinion. You can't please all of those people all of the time. It's like the Thomas Sowell thing. There's no solutions, only trade-offs. And it's a little bit like that. You're playing this constant game. And also the thing is, he has said a lot of things, and so it's like, okay, well, we'll knock 20% off rates here, and we'll do this over here, and oh, we'll open up the North Sea for drilling, and go, okay, cool. That sounds kind of expensive. Where's the money coming from? You know, it's like me saying I could do with a new mode of transportation. The new Range Rover looks pretty nice. Let me just check. Let me just check my bank account. It looks like I can maybe get some flip flops if I go to the second-hand shop. You know, and I think Britain's in a similar place right now. The money's just running dry, and all they've been doing for so long is just borrowing more money to then pay benefits or pay other things or to service other debt. And so it's all of his plans, and there's a lot of really amazing, impressive ones. So you go, wow, that'd make things better. How are you going to finance all of this other than getting into more debt And then we even have a worse debt to GDP ratio, which is already looking really, really bad. So
Yeah, yeah, and he's already alluded to it. It's taxation increases. He's already alluded and mentioned a couple of things and said, British public can handle a bit more tax. It's like it's so that's his plan, is to tax people. And I think it just shows how far removed the people running our country are from the reality on the ground day to day. And I know that's hard for us to say where we live so far away, but obviously we're in it, we read it, we see it, like we've got that objective view from the outside. But I feel like most people now, they can't handle any more taxation increases. And you could even say, oh well, tax the rich, but we live in a global economy now. Like if we try and tax the rich any more than we already are, they're just going to leave. And the thing is, when they
yeah.
leave, it leaves an even bigger hole, because even getting the bit of tax that they've been unable to dodge out of them is still a massive more amount than, like, Gary, who works in Tesco, paying his like contributions.
Well, the thing with that as well is that the top 10%, the top 10% high earners in the UK pay 60% of the tax. So
Yeah,
you can tax them more, cool. But if I'm a multimillionaire that has businesses and various things in the UK, and then all of a sudden I'm paying even more tax on top of what's already a huge percentage of tax, I'm just going to leave. And then, well, what does that mean? Well, then when people do that en masse, you're going to have less tax being paid overall. You're going to have less businesses. You're also getting rid of like the smartest entrepreneurial genius type people, and they're just going and setting up shop somewhere else.
and it is a massive issue, and it's probably something we could dig into when news comes up around it. But like, brain drain is now a thing in the UK. This thing they used to talk about, brain drain. So people, they go through like all the resources in their developing country or wherever they come from to become a doctor or an engineer or any of these really high value to the society jobs and vocations, and then they come and live in England or Britain, and they use the spending from the country they came from, probably paid for it, but still, you know what I mean? It's always investment in education, and then they come and give that value to a developed country because they're seeking a better life. Now that's happening the other way. Boris Johnson was talking about this the other day, where people are leaving. So we've got a massive brain drain problem because the smartest people are like, I don't want to stay here, I'm getting out.
Yeah.
So there's so many problems to solve, and I feel like there probably does, not that I have any hope of anyone fixing it, but the answer probably is a general election to give the public a chance to decide who they want. Who do they want to lead them?
I think whenever this happens, when a prime minister resigns or gets fired, effectively, whatever you want to call it, I think there should be a snap general election at that point for the new one, because it just makes no sense you just instead have someone there that nobody voted for. I mean, yeah, okay, maybe there's not a huge difference between Starmer and Burnham, but there is a difference, and that counts.
Yeah. Well, I'll be postal voting in for Count Binface when the time comes.
Right, I think we all will. Who knows? I mean, we'll see how crazy politics gets in the UK, but you could end up seeing Count Binface beating Farage, then later becoming PM at some point in the more distant future, and that would be a perfect
despite
picture.
The fact he is an extreme left liberal, but yeah, some of his policies are, fair enough. Maybe we can find a mid ground. Vote in someone. Maybe we should just get like David Beckham in there or something, and just get him to run things.
Yeah,
that
why
might
not?
be a brighter future for us.
Gordon Ramsay or something.
So we can go back to being like a third place nation. Like that's how we're comfortable there.
Well, anyway. It's true, but unfortunately, that's kind of how it goes in the UK, and things are gradually gradually declining, and they have done for a really long time. Before the Second World War, or around the start of it, Britain had the largest navy in the world. It had control over like huge amounts of the planet. It had all these resources and wealth and everything else. And it's like, yeah, politicians talk like, oh, Britain's going to reach new heights. You're not really going to get higher than that. Are you going to retake India, or But there's just no hope. And now it's now in this like debt cycle where there's no escape from that without something really, really major.
Like inventing how to travel by black hole to some other universe where Britain is still prosperous and didn't partake in World War II. It just sort of sat back and kept its stuff.
Or didn't have wacky economic policies for decades that absolutely crippled it.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, and it's a whole other episode, and we'll wrap it up here because I'm sure there's going to be plenty about Burnham and the government over the coming weeks. But World War II gutted the UK. Like before that, it was that was the nail in the coffin. World War I wasn't great, but World War II just totally gutted us in terms of resources and everything else, and there really is no way back from that. So anyway, on that happy note, ladies and gentlemen, if you've enjoyed it, give us a like, subscribe, and we will be here for the next piece of news.